Hey, crypto media friends, welcome to another Overtime show here in Los Angeles. We talk about cryptocurrencies, NFTs in the metaverse, and the world around us, changing and adapting to it. And I was listening with the ear to the ground and got into some conversations about green cryptocurrencies and eco-friendly cryptocurrencies. And I feel like sometimes it's a misnomer. I get this a lot. Friends are, oh, you're in crypto. You're killing the planets with your mega gigawatts of electricity usage. And to be fair, if you have traded Bitcoin or if you've bought an NFT on OpenSea, indeed you have killed the planet to some degree. It is an insanely energy wasteful process. As a previous miner, it's one of the reasons you have to go way back into the channel of why I quit. Because you're sitting there and you have this box, and this box is not that I have one here. I have an adjacent box that I'll show you guys maybe a little bit later that's replaced it. But this box essentially is it's a computer, and it's set to just hash and sort of work out calculations based upon a very challenging problem that it needs to solve. And so this is the proof of work model. And as a miner, is just like it is a heater. It would heat the entire office here. It's quite nice during the winter, to be honest, but it was loud as heck. But you would also see the energy consumption usage be absurd. Mine was maybe helping to transact, as part of a huge pool, as part of a slush pool, based in, with a series of racks of Chinese miners, you're looking at just obscene usage. It's like having a heater on that's about 1,500 to 1,500 watts. And I had a small miner. Mine was just one you plugged into the 120. Most modern miners now, you plug into the 220. You have to have that special plug, and it uses even more electricity. And so, and to transact at essentially roughly 10 transactions per second. That sounds barbaric because it is. And it's okay. This is the thing, is like everyone's like comparing like Cardano to Bitcoin in terms of efficiency. It's apples and oranges. We're talking about something that was like, you're comparing like, the speed of a Porsche to a Model T. The Model T was its construction of the thing. The construction of these little computers are essentially a network of computers of hash that essentially create the world's largest supercomputer around the world. And so that's what we have with Bitcoin, but it's very old, very outdated. Along comes Ethereum. Great, fantastic. Now we're getting up to about 200, transactions per second, and we feel those in a really great way when you're transacting on on OpenSea. You can really see sort of the gas fees rise and fall, and you're like, why? Well, it's because it's trying to mitigate this level of traffic on a network, massive, large computer that doesn't have a lot of throughput. And I think that that's part of what we talk about on the show when we talked about erratics was this problem of efficiency. And this problem of efficiency is what can lead us out to something that's much more eco-friendly and sustainable. Let's put some quotes on that, because there's a lot of, we'll talk about this, there's a lot of consternation as to what sustainable is. I think, companies or projects like Cardano, want to say like, oh, well, we're going to plant trees to offset our thing. And I think that that's great and fantastic and commend them thoroughly for doing so. But, let's look at the brass tacks. The brass tacks is throughput, and it is efficiencies. And as we move into, as well as Ethereum, moving into a proof of stake versus a proof of work. So instead of running this, 1,200, 1,500 watt, miner, hashing out just the smallest transactions imaginable. Here's one wallet, go to this wallet. Now we're talking about metaverse. We're talking about video processing. We're talking about a lot of throughput and a lot of transactions, and a lot of, those get stifled as, the early adopters of Polygon are playing with the, the notion of running games on this network. You're starting to see the slowdowns. And so the concept of breaking down from proof of work into proof of stake is an order of magnitude. It's I have right next to me an Avado miner, and I run a Bitcoin node, which is just, I don't make any money from it. It's just to keep the record. I do it as a service to the community, just as a previous miner. Is just something I felt like I could do. It runs very little electricity, but it just keeps safe, if you will, the Bitcoin blockchain. I have a copy of it, on this computer. And so it just kind of, keeps that as part of the network. And so it's a small effort, and I make no money from it. But the great thing about, having proof of stake as the other nodes that I have on this machine go, I can run about 30, maybe 40 nodes on one machine that is about as much as an old school light bulb, a 100-watt light bulb. And so, the level in which you're able to transact, it really is an order of magnitude. And I think it comes down to understanding that we're moving from this proof of work model to a proof of stake. Everybody is, including Ethereum. Maybe not Bitcoin so much, but Ethereum for sure. And so will it get there eventually? We've been talking about it for a year, but it's going to take time, because this is they're just trying to move it while in motion, and I think that has a lot of challenges. And so, but this is probably the most important episode I've ever done, talking about something that I think is super, super important. And I'm sure it's going to get the least amount of views, but I felt it's important just to talk about, because when we're looking at our own projects, especially as creators, what tools do we have available to us that are going to bring our projects into the metaverse and into marketplaces. And so there's Leaf Score is a fairly credible kind of all-encompassing sort of consumer products, everything, but they did a quite nice job of making a list of sustainable cryptocurrencies, quite recent, January 10th. And so they didn't include SafeMoon, which I think is interesting. SafeMoon people are a hardcore. I tell you, there's Cardano, and then SafeMoon people are really hardcore. They have the SafeMoon army, and kudos to them. Hey, if you're a SafeMooner, what's up? I'll give you guys a shout out, because I really think you guys have the right mindset. I think SafeMooners have this interesting mindset. Anywho, so it's just a list of them, and I'm just going to kind of go over the ones that I think we know are at a stage where they can be used as tools. And so you have Cardano, obviously, using proof of stake consensus mechanism, where you buy tokens as sort of like your participation in the network, and it saves a lot of energy. It's similar in some ways to Ethereum, but without a lot of the bloat associated with the latter token. Enables Cardano to speed up to meet increased demands for the cryptocurrency. Last I heard, it was about at the same level of Solana, and so you're roughly dealing now with about 2,000 transactions per second. Hopefully, we're going to get up there. I'm going to get you from the 2,000 to the erratic's 1.7 million per second. So it's just it's Cardano. It's like I never get to. There's so many passionate Cardano people out there. I never want to dump on them too much. I know there's other influencers that do, but I think the mindset is right. I think there's just a lot of hurdles with Cardano that aren't as rosy, I think, as others, and I think a lot of people are catching up and eating Cardano's cake. XLM, obviously a huge one. A lot of people mention Iota. So it uses energy sustainability because it uses the fast probabilistic consensus for consensus, and so that's their innovation is on consensus. And so I think you have the efficiencies of processing, and if you can disrupt the consensus and make that speedier, then you have a chance. And so I think this article breaks down sort of its usage, into, sort of metric tons, annually. But I think that it's one I would have to look into a bit more. But I hear a lot about it when people talk about its energy reduction, and so it's reducing itself. And I think that that's something we'll talk about as well. Is each of these projects is continually improving themselves. And so I think Iota has been doing great work and did like a landmark thing, reducing 33 to 95% in energy consumption as they upgraded their chain as they went. And so you have Tron, of course, won't really get into. Holochain is an open source framework for peer-to-peer applications and requires no mining. This means you don't need any specialized processors, nor is there any excessive energy used in generating cryptocurrency. Anyone who hosts apps on their computer or device can receive hot return. Holochain is immediate and efficient, does not rely on proof of work or proof of stake, but still enables scalable crypto accounting. Each user provides a small amount of computing and storage, allowing peer-to-peer web applications to function, in theory, at a massive scale without the need for centralized data centers or infrastructure. This largely depends on how many users sign up, however. This is the thing, you need the network. And I think that that's part of the challenge as we look at sort of the tools that we have available to us, is what network can I just literally go on today? Right now, to be honest, it's probably Ethereum, and if you want to make the eco choice, it's Ethereum layer 2. It's Polygon, and it's Loopring, and some of the other great layer 2s that are developing currently. So you have just like Chia. A lot of people have been talking about Chia. As being greener. I think the thing that offsets Chia's technology is that it leverages the hard disks, multiple hard disks, Chia Farm is designed to be accessible with no specialized equipment needing nor massive amounts of power. Well, you do need a hard drive, and so your hard drive is going to take an immense amount of punishment, as it runs in the network. And so instead of just updating, it's just constantly going. And I think that that's kind of the ding on Chia is, they came out and said, well, we're using so much less power than everybody else, but they are adding to the hardware degradation, and that equals landfills, that equals a lot of things that might not be part of, the point of view. And so Algorand, it's kind of like one of the OGs. I guess it was more of a hot OG, if you will. I guess this is 2019. We'll cover a couple more that were a bit more OG than that. But it was certainly one of the first ones that I got into that was like, oh, proof of stake. This is interesting. And so that's when I really started looking at mining in a negative way. I was like, well, whoa, there's this thing that released in 2019, is also relatively new to the crypto scene, but was able to manage 1 million transactions per day by December 2020. Sylvia McCallie is a professor of computer science at MIT, a recipient of the Turing Award, genius. The speed of transaction in the Algo platform and its low transaction fees, in addition to being permissionless, pure proof-of-stake blockchain protocol, all mean the network is accessible, scalable, and uses far less energy than Bitcoin. Come on, let's stop using Bitcoin as the standard, because it's a really bad standard. The pure proof-of-stake approach of Algo means that its validating nodes are known to each other and have agreed to create a block each time. Algo does not involve mining, and the network is trying to lead the way in blockchain sustainability by creating a carbon-negative network. It is designed to be energy efficient from the get-go and is committed to offsetting any emission gaps to reduce its environmental impact further. I care about the planet, and we all should. Algorand, especially as we're dealing with the scaling of our industry, of this industry that we're participating in, it's going to get massive, and it's going to get massive fast. And I just see so much purchasing, and when I was doing the mining, it's just like you couldn't find these parts because there was just so much demand for them. And, you would be completely outbid at the retail point of sale by people who just wanted to buy en masse to create farms, because it's a trend. Perhaps we'll talk about the node trend a little later. I think that's going to be a very interesting burgeoning development in our space. I think a lot of people are getting hot for nodes, and some of them aren't so amazing. Algorand climate trade plan to implement a system where Algorand's carbon footprint on chain for a specific number of blocks will be notarized, allowing the equivalent amount of carbon credit to be calculated. And so they've really taken consideration into how they're going to have a third party confirm their actual sustainability. And I think that's commendable. Currently has 10 billion algo, with the distribution continuing to roll out to about 2030. Algo is currently bought on, sold on Coinbase and all those great places. Tezos, now we're talking. This is one of the OG proof of stake. And Tezos is having a moment, I think. And I think look out for Tezos, because Tezos, I think, has been a bit of a favorite because it was the original proof of stake. And I think that anyone coming into the space as a creator, as of this past year, has really had to look at that choice of like, oh, should I just go with it? And I'm talking about people who have bigger projects, not the flippers, not the ones that are just gonna leave you holding the bag at the end of mint. Talk about the ones that are really building something. They're really looking at Tezos because it was one of the original proof of smart contracts. That's what we should have, proof of smart, based upon the IQ of node holders. You will earn as many coins as such, depending on your IQ test, of which I would probably be paying. Most of 80% of initial $232 million went to investors. 10% go into the Tezos Foundation. Energy efficient proof of stake blockchain is This is the thing about Tezos that was also super awesome and innovative, was that it was self-upgradable and scalable. There was no forking. And so you just had like this a tech solution that was going to grow within its scalability. Because that's what's happening right now, is you have Ethereum that's just like, oh God, we got to change. Okay, crap. And then so we have to create this massive move, and you see how they move to the left and move in the blockchain that creates really some pretty heady stuff in order to do so. And so heady, we've been waiting for years on Ethereum 2.0 to go from proof of work using miners to proof of stake. Using it used to be 32, I think it's still 32 Ethereum in which to run a node. And so, unlike many blockchains, Tezos has an on-chain governance mechanism that allows the network to continuously improve without the need for a hard fork. Hey, this system means participants in the network can propose, vote, adopt, deploy improvements efficiently. The result is a leading-edge blockchain network that can quickly innovate. The algorithm enables transactions to be processed quickly, cheaply, and a fraction of the energy proof of work usage, like Bitcoin. Stop comparing it to Bitcoin. I'd love to see, if anybody knows, please hit the comments section below. And this is the thing, is like when it comes to a big topic like this, I need your guys' help. I need the community's help to start to analyze these things. This is only like 28 of the most sustainable cryptocurrencies. There's more coming out. There's more safe moons out there. There's more, ones that are coming out every day that have this on their mind, because it's important in our consideration of utilizing these tools in the future. And so please like, subscribe, hit the notification, join the conversation, because I need you guys. And so here to run a node is not bad. 8,000 Tez. Known as a baker can, because I'll be honest, like it was tough to run nodes for like Avalanche, and it was just like, oh God, even early on it was just like $30,000. Now I think it's like 70,000-80,000. But you're like, oh, maybe this is a big investment. But they, again, I'll do a whole nodes thing, because I think that's an interesting strategy right now in this space. And so, gain support from a supermajority, and then are fully implemented in the mainnet because of the minimum investment of 8,000 Tez. There's a financial incentive to contribute to the success of the network. And so each of these has a strategy in which to help reward those who run nodes. and those who even have validators. So you have a system set up in each of these in which you try and reward people who just want to sit there and grind and improve things, or the technology that they have invested in grinds. It's again, looking at sort of the hardware that's incorporated becomes a challenge. Like I said, Chia sort of threw me for a left field, because I was like, oh yeah, Chia, that's much more energy efficient. But then, like, when you look into it, you're just like, oh, okay, you're writing that all to a hard drive, and immediately I'm like, yeah, that's gonna go bad. I mean, I run through hard drives. I have a stack. I kid you not. I have at least 30 hard drives down to my lower left here, just from like video editing. And so I know it's ugly and it's disgusting, and I don't know what to do with them, and I want to do something responsible with them, but I don't know what that is. Who uses Tezos? Quincy Jones and John Legend, come on. And Doja Cat. Doja Cat can put her name on anything and it's going to be super hot. So again, keep an eye out on Tezos. I'm hearing a lot. I'm getting bullish. I'm getting red bullish. That was so bad. I'm sorry. You deserve better jokes than that. But I'm definitely getting bullish about Tezos in terms of its use, because it's had a long time to gestate, and because it's one of the first to add that first mover advantage when it comes to proof of stake, and it has a fully functioning network, and I think a lot of technological advancements that lend it to be scalable, unlike a lot of these others. Flow, another proof of stake that is fast, centralized, and highly usable, is the brainchild of the team behind Crypto Currencies, and offers a unique approach of separating mining or validating nodes into 4 distinct processes. So again, it's like these schemes of breaking down what you need, which is mining and validating. This makes it more efficient and more accessible. Anyone with a reliable internet connection can participate. That's also the super exciting thing about, again, having like a small single-purposed CPU. I went with an Iota because it was just like I think as designers they really understand what this potential is in sort of new nodes running on very discrete power usage devices, where it's just a small single-purpose thing. Again, running maybe it's like maybe at mine's running pretty low. It's like maybe at 75 watts. It's not even warm. So, but on it I can run several different nodes at the same time, and so I can contribute to a lot of these networks at significant orders and orders and orders of magnitude less than, I don't want to keep comparing it to Bitcoin, but certainly a lot less than Ethereum, certainly a lot less than any proof of work. And so when we're talking about proof of stake, we're also talking about the ability for you and I, just as participators within the community, to contribute to projects that we think are interesting by way of lending our hardware to these projects. And so I think that's interesting, because some of them are offering to get in to some of these nodes. They're offering very high rewards currently, and so I'm now motivating myself to make you guys a nice proper node one. But just to finish off, what makes and why we're talking about it is because we're looking at what is the most energy efficient, and again we're hitting a lot of the ones that I think people understand and know about and already are talking about. And AVAX was one that came from I think rode that narrative as well as its speed, because now we're talking about facilitating 4,500 transactions per second, twice as much as Solana, twice as much as Cardano. Correct me if I'm wrong on the Cardano. The Cardano people will. But in terms of innovations, it was like, wow, okay. So now we're doubling that speed, and we're also, importantly, as opposed to Cardano, we're also programming in Solidity, and so or at least compatible with Solidity. And so you have something that's much more fast, 20 times as fast than Ethereum. Scalable, decentralized, because that was a thing, is like they went early in on this node notion that you could run your own validator for them by proof of stake, and you just buy a certain amount of coin, and you'd be rewarded. You would get an APY of roughly back then it was like 17%, 20%. Something that was, you're like, hey, that's nice. If you can just sit there again on my desk and earn me 20% interest, roughly, that's interesting as a store of value. Participants on the P-chain become general network validators. The stake can also be delegated to another validator, allowing them to earn a portion of the validator reward. This is how we kind of break out the subchains if you wanted to sort of join a group. And so MENA protocol, a lot of great mention of MENA protocol. I don't want to go too long on this. You can, of course, go to leavescore.com and take a look at this. But, we're near. Obviously, we're talking a lot about near. But these are the protocols that, have this bar of like, hey, we're trying to be sustainable. Or we at least have an ability to say we are sustainable. They do not talk about eRadixo, because I think that's the, as we're seeing, like the innovation and the efficiency is what is going to save on the power usage. And so, when you have like sort of this building network, okay, we're at 2,000 transactions, now we're at 4,500 transactions. Again, eRadix, they haven't released yet, and I think this is part of why it shouldn't be part of the conversation yet, because it's not a tool that's active, and it was created for the DeFi community so that they could transact all those DeFi swaps and those shit coins, because that's what weighed down Ethereum in the last tightening, the last NFT bear market was when. And that's why we have this offsetting relationship currently with NFTs and with cryptocurrency, is because when you have cryptocurrencies altcoin season kicking butt, you have gas prices that are absurd because everyone's trying to trade and run in and out of liquidity pools of Ethereum and Shiba Inu. So that literally was sort of the choking point of the last NFT bear market. And so, as we're going back in today, and we talked about it yesterday, and I don't want to say I'm right, but I'm right. We're looking at a brand new bull market within altcoin season. It's starting again. How long this run goes, we don't know, but you can kind of see it. It was very evident as like you saw a lot of choking or pullback from a lot of the pricing of the NFTs. And I don't want to ruin the party for anybody. I think certain projects can still exceed and maintain their trajectories, but you could see that there was a slight pullback within those markets because there's just not enough people willing to who are minting. There's just so much mint fatigue, right? I mean, hit like, subscribe if you're mint fatigued. You're just fatigued out of trying to get on whitelists and trying to mint these projects. It takes a lot of time. And so, I think a lot of people get caught within projects, and then they can't sell, and especially if gas prices are high, or if they are selling, it's at a disastrous, ugly feeling loss. And so, as things kind of shift now, I think we should be looking at how to facilitate so that we're not choking each other, going back and forth, and these markets can decouple because it has to be done either in layer 2 on the Ethereum network, which let's be honest is the most probably likely scenario, because it's where all the action is, and I think a lot of when you have these layer 2s, Immutable X is what I was trying to think of. I'm like, Immutable is, I think, really gotten some very interesting headway, because they're all competing for these great projects, and they're reaching out to projects to say, hey, we'll host you. We'll act as your, not just layer 2, but in a sense, they're creating layer 1s, saying but they're going to bridge. And so it's just they're like, yeah, layer 2, you're going to be on Ethereum. Well, fantastic. But they're just buying they're trying to build a bridge. How successful that is, we've been seeing it hasn't been doing so well for, I won't FUD, for a project. I think it was 250 ETH loss. So, when we're talking about this sort of stuff, it's meant to give us a sort of a view of the marketplace and on the landscape, so that we understand, like, as creators, it is in our power. It's our decision to make projects on certain chains, whether we want to try and just cash grab and hit it now. On Ethereum, I think is kind of the default, and I'd like to challenge that by submitting again this list, and hopefully I've colored it enough to give you enough confidence to look at. Maybe I should do a layer 2s episode, but looking at layer 2s of Ethereum, or going Tezos or Algo or Dot. My gosh, there's so many great chains on Dot that are going to be much more efficient in this process, and in that efficiency, we're going to find, I think, freedom and decoupling from market forces as we know them today, which, it seems like only one can succeed at a time. Or, it's a very, it's an interesting relationship, and I think a lot of people are taking advantage of it now. And, aren't we all? I mean, it's like, okay, it's altcoin season now, and so we're going to go try and grow our bags with my burping. And so with altcoins, and so as we push, with those altcoins, then because the gas prices are going to go high, and then NFT trading is going to suck, and a lot of the projects that we're thinking about minting are going to hold back. And some of them are going to hold back so much that we're going to question what's going on with them, and then when they finally do mint, we're going to be extremely disappointed, because they don't look anywhere near how cool those rarities they showed were going to be. I think you all know what I'm talking about right now. Maybe I'll do an entire, new episode. There's so much going on, guys. This is why I do this live. Please like, subscribe, hit the bell notification. I want to bring you this information because I think it's cogent, and I think, as creators, we don't always have the time to be aware of these sort of things. We're trying to get the storytelling right. We're trying to get the art right. We're trying to get the music right. That's what we should be focusing on. Let me help you try and connect the dots, so that when you come out ready to go, that you have great decisions at your fingertips, so they're not searching for things and relying on a rusty old proof of work model that is just not good for anybody. And so like, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you love the planet. If you hate the planet, you shouldn't be here, because we're talking about stuff that I think is just really important. Again, this is probably going to be the most important information that I have talked about, the most important subject. I think I need your help in terms of, like, helping to fill out some of the blanks here when it comes to those who have actually had some experience within these projects, because I will say, like, the people that have come back from talks with Tezos, with AVAX, with Near, Algo, are, they're pretty positive. And so trying to find a home for your project right now is it's an easy call, but it's an ugly call. But I think in the future, as we go through more cycles of this, we're going to have more opportunities and more changes. And one of them, I'm hoping, is going to be one of these platforms, because it's going to save us a lot more energy and be a lot more efficient, and hopefully do our part